Good afternoon. Welcome to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Of course, you're looking live there at the White House, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. You see the bottom right of your screen, 4 o'clock. Well, at 5 o'clock, we'll be seeing the president from the Oval Office for an announcement. So we'll have that in its entirety here on this Friday, October 10th. Also, looking forward to hearing from the reporters in the Oval Office. What kinds of questions will be asked? What kinds of topics will be covered? What is President Trump going to say today? All these questions yet to be answered, but we'll have that for you here on Right Side Broadcasting Network as we go through a number of various news stories that we're following and tracking with throughout the country, including various stories, of course, that have to do with we the people and Washington, D.C. and what's best for the country. And we see that through these 20 core promises with President Trump and the team there, we're on our way. And we're continuing to see a lot of wins, and we want to see a lot more as well. So thanks again for joining us. I'm Matthew Alvarez here on RSBN Live. Let's get right to it. We're following some tragic news out of Tennessee where nearly 20 people are feared dead after an explosion at a factory in Middle Tennessee. That's the latest that we've been seeing here at the network. So if there's any other details that come out, I'm sure we'll be able to share that with you. But tragedy today in Bucksnort, Tennessee, not too far from Nashville. I used to work as a journalist in Nashville, and I remember being out that way, Hickman County and all that. So definitely a tragedy in Tennessee today that we are monitoring. Also today, the Attorney General, Pam Bondi of the Department of Justice, made an announcement about political violence, and she had some specifics about a recent violent threat confirmed and the person now arrested. Let's take a look at that clip from a bit earlier in the day.
We've been living through a horrific cycle of political violence in this country. We've seen attacks against police officers, federal agents, including the deadly shooting in the ICE facility in Dallas. Night after night, Antifa wreaks havoc on our streets of our cities. In Minnesota, a gunman murdered a state lawmaker and her husband. It was horrific. An anti-Semitic lunatic tried to burn down Governor Shapiro's house while he was in it with his wife and young children. This week, authorities arrested a man outside a Catholic church in Washington, D.C. with hundreds of explosive devices. And on September 10th, our nation stopped in its tracks with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We miss him dearly. Unfortunately, I'm here today to talk about similar threats that were made against Benny Johnson and his wife, Kate. Benny's a well-known media personality, carrying a message very similar to Charlie's, grounded largely in faith and love of country. Just days after Charlie's assassination, Benny received a letter at his home where he and Kate are raising their beautiful, beautiful young family. The author of this letter made it very clear that he hated Benny because of his views, and he wanted Benny dead. This was a coward hiding behind a keyboard who thought he could get away with this. That's why we're standing up here today. You are not going to get away with threatening people in this way. And I'm proud to announce that we have arrested the author of this letter. George Isbell Jr. was taken into custody this morning, and we are charging him federally with mailing threatening communications. It is a crime, and if convicted, he is going to prison. This was incredible teamwork. Benny called me right away. Chief Burkall, thank you. You were on it right away. Matt Fodor and all the FBI agents. Thank you, U.S. Attorney Kehoe. All of the U.S. Postal Service, FBI, state and local law enforcement working together. This is what it's about. And we are going to catch you if you think you can do something like this. We don't care if you're across the country in California. We will find you, we will arrest you, we will extradite you, and we will bring you to justice. We cannot allow this political violence to continue any longer. This arrest will serve as a reminder to many. Do not do this. We will find you.
And of course, hearing from the Attorney General Pam Bondi there, and also today, the Turning Point USA social media account posting the following message out there and a photo of the late, great Charlie Kirk saying, 1 month ago today, we carry Charlie's mission in our hearts and his fight in our hands for God, for freedom, for America. I saw that post on Truth Social there, powerful post, as it's been a month since that tragedy unfolded. We know that, this TPUSA organization is continuing on stronger and seeing so many people open up TPUSA chapters around the country, including, I believe, I heard of one of the universities in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Great to see that as well. And let's go from Tennessee now to North Dakota, as last night, there was a great TPUSA event there. And just look at what it's like. If you haven't been monitoring every TPUSA event since that tragedy on September 10th, let's take a look at what people are chanting and how packed these auditoriums are for the late, great Charlie Kirk. Take a listen. And that's the way it is everywhere TPUSA is. And no matter who the speaker is, they're there supporting the speaker, supporting freedom, supporting the late, great Charlie Kirk and the icon and the symbol of free speech and the person that loves God, family, country, and freedom, and did such a great job being a representative of the conservative movement. Still can't believe it's been a month since that tragedy unfolded. Let's go now to a number of our sponsors. We're waiting for the president. It's going to be about 53 minutes from now. We never know, though. Maybe it's going to be a little longer. Who knows? On a Friday, maybe right on time or maybe earlier. We'll be here for it as we see it, as we await President Trump's announcement at 5 o'clock Eastern. Let's go to All Family Pharmacy. In the meantime, most pharmacies, they stop at the basics. They hand you your prescription. They send you on your way. But thankfully, there's one pharmacy that's different. All Family Pharmacy. Of course, they carry the essentials like the antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and everyday prescriptions. But they don't stop there. They go further by offering advanced health solutions you won't find at most places, from NAD+ for energy and healthy aging, to methylene blue for sharper focus, to glutathione for detox and immune support, and Sermorelin to support better sleep and recovery. They're giving Americans access to both essential medications and innovative biohacking products to help you feel and perform your best. This is about more than just medicine. It's about taking control of your health, whether you're preparing for emergencies, managing day-to-day needs, or optimizing long-term performance. That's why so many people are choosing All Family Pharmacy, because they have everything you need all in one place, including the doctor's prescription. So all you have to do is just visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN, and you can get what you need for your family. And don't forget to use that promo code that you see there, RSBN10, to save that 10%. Let's also go to another great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, Monetary Gold, as you see. The number's right there on the screen. And also you can go to RSBNforthegold.com, because two banks have already failed in 2025. And with $37 trillion in national debt, Monetary Gold says more failures, unfortunately, are on the way. It's not fear-mongering, it's reality. The banking system is built on quicksand, and every new failure threatens depositors, retirement accounts, and pensions. The government can't bail out everyone, and when confidence collapses, so does the system. Monetary Gold tells us not to get trapped holding worthless paper. Just call 888-617-7994 or go to rsbnforthegold.com today and secure your wealth with real assets. And also, you'll get that info kit that'll get you started right there. All right, let's go to angelpaste.com as well out of Spring, Texas, of course. And if you'd like to make a purchase, maybe for the flagship product, the Miracle Cream, or if you want to check out a number of other products on this great site, just go ahead, angelpaste.com. And then when you're ordering, just type in RSBN for the promo code. You'll get quite the percentage off. Give it a try. Angelpaste.com out of Spring, Texas. They hire military veterans, a great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're 10 minutes after the 4 o'clock hour, October 10th. It's a Friday. A lot of news going on, as you guys have been seeing throughout the week. And those of you that are watching right now at 4:10 on a Friday, loyal viewership. But not only that, you are patriots that care about our country. I know a lot of patriots care about our country, but you guys also, it's great to see you here with us. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for typing in those comments and on Rumble, YouTube, all over the place. We're grateful for you guys, and we're with the people that stand on the right side of history, the common sense side of things. Speaking of common sense, let's go to the First Lady, Melania Trump. A great message earlier today, about a 5-minute message, so we're going to replay that here for you. We have a live interview coming up later in the broadcast. A couple other news topics, of course, we'll be talking about as we await the President of the United States. So let's go to the First Lady, Melania Trump, from earlier today.
Good morning. A child's soul knows no borders, no flags. We must foster a future for our children, which is rich with potential, security, and complete with free will. A world where dreams will be realized rather than faded by war. Much has unfolded since President Putin received my letter last August. He responded in writing, signaling a willingness to engage with me directly and outlining details regarding the Ukrainian children residing in Russia. And since then, President Putin and I have had an open channel of communication regarding the welfare of these children. For the past 3 months, both sides have participated in several back-channel meetings and calls, all in good faith. We have agreed to cooperate with each other for the benefit of all people involved in this war. My representative has been working directly with President Putin's team to ensure the safe reunification of children with their families between Russia and Ukraine. In fact, 8 children have been rejoined with their families during the past 24 hours. Each child has lived in turmoil because of the war in Ukraine. 3 were separated from their parents and displaced to the Russian Federation because of frontline fighting. The other 5 were separated from family members across borders because of the conflict, including 1 young girl who has now been reunited from Ukraine to Russia. I have learned a lot about this matter during the past 3 months. Russia has demonstrated a willingness to disclose objective and detailed information reflective for the current situation. The Russian Federation provided biographies and photographs of each child involved in this week's reunification, along with an overview of the social, medical, and psychological services afforded to the Ukrainian children. Further, I was provided a detailed report which verified the identities and circumstances of these 8 individuals. The U.S. government confirmed the facts contained within this document are accurate. It is important to note the original verification report was jointly prepared by the Commissioner of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine for Human Rights and Office of the Russian Presidential Commissioner for Children's Rights. As First Lady, this is an important initiative for me. It is built on shared purpose and lasting impact. My ongoing mission is twofold: to optimize a transparent, free-flow exchange of health-related information surrounding all children who have fell victim to this war, and to facilitate the regular reunification of children with their families until each individual returns home. Additionally, I have raised concerns regarding those who were minors at the time they were displaced by the war, but have since reached adulthood and currently reside in Russia. Given the dangers of traversing this war-torn region, their safe return requires coordinated assistance. Accordingly, Russia has agreed to rejoin the individuals who have turned 18 within a short period of time. Again, this remains an ongoing effort. Plans are already underway to reunify more children in the immediate future. I hope peace will come soon. It can begin with our children. Thank you.
Madam First Lady, are we speaking with President Putin?
Madam First Lady, will you be joining the President in the Middle East?
Of course, live coverage that you may have seen earlier today with Robert McNeely in studio covering that live. A lot of live coverage this week, as you guys have seen on this October 10th, 2025. Now, tomorrow, the Department of War Secretary Pete Hegseth will deliver a speech in Virginia as the Marines get ready to celebrate 250 years of service. That'll be next month, specifically November 10th. Now, tomorrow's speech, we'll have the Secretary's speech live right here on RSBN. And throughout this year, the Marine Corps are hosting public events and celebrations across the country. Recently, they were in Boston, Massachusetts. Let's take a look.
We've received such a warm welcome from the individuals in Boston. Between Boston, Marblehead, and entirely the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, they've really embraced the Marine Corps the entire week. The city of Boston has been overwhelmingly kind to every single Marine, welcomed us with open arms, and we want to say thank you for that warm reception. I certainly want to say thank you again. As a Marine, it is personally very rewarding to come back to a location and celebrate 250 amazing years.
It will be very difficult, if not impossible, to find a city that treats the Marine Corps any better than the city of Boston.
If you've ever been to Boston, great history, of course, for our nation, and some good food, too, and a lot of sports. So tomorrow, again, Pete Hegseth, of course, the Secretary of the Department of War, will be speaking in Virginia tomorrow. We'll have that event live right here on Right Side. I believe at last check, our start time is at 5:30 Eastern tomorrow. If that changes, just follow us on Rumble, YouTube, X, and all of the sites out there, Truth Social. We, of course, always post our live event times there for you to check out. So thanks so much for tuning in right now. We're going to get ready to see the president in just a bit from now as he's making an announcement from the Oval Office at 5 p.m. In the meantime, today, of course, is day 10 of the good old Democrat government shutdown. We're learning that the reduction in force process has started within the government, meaning people are starting to lose their jobs because of the Democrat shutdown. So that's the latest that we're hearing from that. We also know that, of course, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, held his 10th press conference earlier today. That was also coverage you may have seen earlier in combination with the First Lady's announcement as well. So just a lot of news going on. Even though it's a Friday, we're going into a weekend. It's getting a little cooler out there in some of the temperatures, but still at top of mind really is God, family, and country, isn't it? I mean, we can watch sports, we can do a lot of different things out there, but it's hard not to focus on those things. I mean, I know that I work in the industry, but even outside of it, people are talking about this a lot. The situation that we face in our country and saving our nation and seeing the 20 core promises that are promised to all of us by President Trump and the campaign and the team there will be fulfilled. And a lot of them already have. If you haven't seen the 20 core promises, as a citizen, like, I get that I'm, wearing a suit right now and I'm, Anchorman, rah, 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 whatever. The point is DonaldJTrump.com, you go to the platform there and you can see the 20 core promises and really, as a citizen, know what the playbook is for the White House for us to win this country. And I know a lot of you out there are saying, hey, we want to see more, indictments and that kind of thing. And we're monitoring all of that. We understand, we see you, and we're on the right side of history, hoping for the best for this country through these next 3 great years with the greatest president of our lifetime, President Donald J. Trump. But then after President Trump, in 2029, January 20th, 2029, we want to see all of the wins cemented, solidified, our country saved even into the future. We don't want to turn into a UK or a China or anything like that, right? So this is a great time to win, and we have the right person at the highest office in the land. So we're going to see him there at the Oval Office in just a bit. It's 4:21 Eastern. We have a live interview coming up with someone from the Media Research Center and Newsbusters, of course. They do a great job there calling out the left-wing media. And President Trump has done a great job, hasn't he? Do you guys remember when back in his first administration, when he was in the East Room of the White House taking on questions from the fake news, and good old Jim Acosta with CNN wouldn't let go of that microphone. You remember that? And he said, sit down, you're fake news and all that. I mean, that's what we kind of have grown up as a country seeing when it comes with President Trump and the way he handles the press. And then you have someone like Carolyn Levitt and Stephen Miller and on doing a great job. So, we want to win and have our country remain free, not only for these 3 years, but way into the future. Let's do this. Let's go to a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with a number of great sponsors right here on RSBN Live.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Every once in a while, something big happens. Something that changes everything. And now, in a defining moment for crypto, Trump Media Group and Crypto.com are joining forces to acquire up to $6.4 billion of CRO, launching America's first ever CRO treasury, empowering the Kronos blockchain. This is more than a partnership. It's the future of finance built in America. For more, visit Crypto.com, where millions trade CRO every day.
Tired of being told no by your doctor, your pharmacy, or worse, your insurance company? You're not alone. Millions of Americans are waking up to a broken healthcare system. That's why more and more people are turning to All Family Pharmacy. We believe in medical freedom. We deliver the prescription and the medication, all from licensed U.S. doctors and pharmacists, from ivermectin and trusted antibiotics to maintenance medications, even NAD+, the revolutionary anti-aging supplement. Use code RSBN10 at checkout for 10% off your first order.
Welcome back to RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks so much for streaming in for this RSBN live stream broadcast. Looking forward to seeing President Trump in just a bit from now. We have an interview in about 6 minutes. Before we get to that, let's go to Cove Pier. Remember the water crisis in Flint, Michigan a while back. You'd think America would have gotten its act together by now on clean drinking water, but think again. Unfortunately, lead and heavy metals are still showing up in city after city. The pipes running into your home, many are older than your grandparents. And what's flowing through them is not what you'd ever want to give your kids either. So that's why the Cove Pure water purifier is one of the best investments you can make to keep your family safe. Because unlike the government, Cove Pure actually does its job when it comes to this water situation. So the EPA itself admits millions of Americans are still exposed to lead in tap water. Lead exposure, by the way, doesn't just make your water taste like you're chewing on a car battery. It causes, unfortunately, brain damage and cancer and long-term health issues. But sure, as Cove Pure says here, trust the city council with your children's brains. What could go wrong? Well, Cove Pure is the obvious fix. Their clear wave technology removes up to 99.9% of contaminants, lead, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, you name it. No plumbers, no drilling, just plug it in on your countertop, set the temperature you want with the touch screen, and it actually tastes like water. Imagine that. So don't wait around for the government to solve this. They won't. Go to covepure.com/RSBN. Get $200 off while supplies last, and you can take back control of your family's health and finally drink water the way it was meant to be. Always good to have that kind of thing in your kitchen, unless you really like tap water, which I don't. Go ahead and put it in the comments. If you really like drinking your tap water, please tell us. I'm sure not many people do out there. I know I don't. Anyway, let's move on to one of our other great sponsors here. As
Every once in a while,
Trump,
something big
from
happens,
the Oval Office.
something
Let's
that changes everything. And now, in a defining moment for crypto, Trump Media Group and Crypto.com are joining forces to acquire up to $6.4 billion of CRO, launching America's first ever CRO treasury.
$1 billion deal with Yorkville Acquisition Corp and Crypto.com. It's the crypto platform trusted by millions of users worldwide. So they're teaming up to scoop up that $6.4 billion in CRO. It's the powerhouse token that fuels fast, low-fee DeFi, which means decentralized finance, staking rewards, and real-world perks like cashback on your spends to establish America's first CRO treasury. So when it's done, this new company will be the biggest publicly traded CRO holder out there. And if you want in on the action, all you have to do is head over to crypto.com today to make crypto great again. So if you want to buy CRO, visit crypto.com today. All right, let's go to one more sponsor as we're getting ready for our live interview coming up. And thank God for all these great sponsors, because we would not be able to have live coverage like we do, where we show you the Oval Office and President Trump and all the different coverage that we have here. But let's go right there as you see Perplexity. And a quick question for you. How much time do you spend every day on a web browser? How much time do you spend clicking around online, searching, scrolling, typing, endless tabs? Well, there's a new AI web browser from Perplexity. It's called Comet. And trust me, I've used this before. It's completely changing the way you're able to interact with your browser. Using Comet feels like having a personal assistant living in your web browser that can actually do things for you across the internet and actually do things, not just give you answers. So you can ask Comet to handle tasks for you, and it literally clicks, types, searches, scrolls just like you would to get things done for you in the background while you go out or do whatever you're doing throughout your day. So Comet can shop for you, make reservations, book travel, summarize articles or videos, send emails, schedule meetings, and a lot more to make your life easier. So all you have to do is download Perplexity's new AI web browser, Comet, by heading to the website that you see right there at the bottom of your screen, right next to the RSBN logo, and let your browser work for you. Plus, right now, when you download Comet, you get a month of Rumble Premium for free. Again, that website you see right there. You can go now and take back your time online. Well, it's $4.29. Not bad there for you. Great sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Wonderful to have every one of them, and all of you that donate to the network out there as well. Let's move on to one of our great guests here, Media Research Center's Nick Fondacaro, who's been on the broadcast before. Nick, a lot of news going on out there. Let's get your reaction first, maybe on President Trump's Israel-Gaza peace plan, and then the freed hostages that will be freed, he said, on Monday.
Yeah, a tremendous amount of prayers coming true now with the hostages coming home, and hopefully this might get him a Nobel Peace Prize. It repairs America's standing in the world that has been damaged under Biden. and hopefully this brings about more peace to the Middle East, bringing up the Abraham Accords, recharges those, and maybe organizing the rest of the Middle East to sort of oppose Iran and just sort of bring a very tumultuous part of the world to simmer down a little bit.
Exactly. And then speaking of the Nobel Peace Prize, the recent recipient out of Venezuela just said, I'm going to dedicate this to President Trump. So this is a very global thing that we see happening out there. But when we go from the global news, the international news, down to domestic policy, we see day 10 of the Democrat shutdown. What are these guys thinking out there, right?
Yeah, exactly. And they're shutting it down in order to have healthcare for illegal immigrants. You have the liberal media basically trying to like help them sort of push this, ignore it, sort of claim that this stuff isn't happening, even though if there's ABC had a story the other day where it was, I think it was like 0.04% of this money is going towards illegal immigrants. Again, trying to downplay the numbers, but meanwhile, they were just telling us zero. It's illegal for this money to go to them, and none of it goes to them at all. So even they're trying to downplay it as this very small percentage, but you guys were just telling us it was 0%, zero amount at all going just a few days ago. But now the numbers are sort of coming out. Speaker Johnson is telling people to go look at the Congressional Budget Office report, which is showing a lot of these numbers and stuff like that. And you have like the liberal media just sort of going along with this, not wanting to particularly picking sides. You have them going around showing the clip of Jeffries getting into the arguments with a Lawler, like out in front of the cameras, and everybody the media just playing up all the theatrics of this for the one side in particular.
Exactly. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, all of that sensationalism. I mean, I get part of watching TV indirectly is somewhat entertainment, but it should be more informative, right? It should be really telling the truth of what's happening out there. And I've worked in mainstream media and local news throughout the country, various places over the years. And it would be like that. It would be always, oh my gosh, this hurricane's going to really be a big one, or the blizzard, and then it's like 2 inches of snow. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with a lot of the theatrics that are out there. Why don't we talk about that for a second? I know Media Research Center, you guys rip it up. You do a great job over there. So could you tell us anything in regards to some recent stats or anything that's interesting with Newsbusters and the Media Research Center?
Yeah, I just want to go back to the theatrics part real fast. Like on MSNBC, on Morning Joe a couple days ago, they were sort of remarking about how when Speaker Johnson talks about the continuing resolution, and they're like, oh, the American people really don't care. They don't know what a continuing resolution is. They barely know who their member of Congress is. Well, MSNBC, you guys are the media. You should be educating them about these things and why Republicans' position is the way it is instead of just pushing the talking points. But yeah, sort of on this idea of what the media is sort of showing people, what kind of patterns they don't want the public to see. We have a couple studies recently. We just a study from my colleague Bill D'Agostino. He looked at some TV news coverage of the attempted, luckily foiled bombing attack against members of SCOTUS at the National Cathedral not too long ago. And it was 200 explosive devices. The guy had a manifesto talking about how he hated SCOTUS, he hated ICE, he hated ICE facilities. So definitely a guy who is fairly left wing. And you had ABC, CBS, and MSNBC give it 0 seconds, 0 minutes and 0 seconds. NBC, like NBC News, not MSNBC, gave it less than a minute, 57 seconds. They couldn't barely be noted at all. And CNN, a cable network that has multiple hours to cover a topic, 19 seconds.
When you look at CNN, what was it? Back in 1980, it started out. And then 1986 was that big Challenger disaster with NASA. Then in 1996, Fox News Channel came out there, the MSNBC shortly after, I believe, or maybe a little bit earlier. And all of these news organizations, specifically CNN, to your point, 19 seconds. I mean, this is what they do. They want the public opinion to always sway a certain way. But the thing that's interesting, Nick, have you kind of noticed that most of the people watching this broadcast right now are saying, I don't watch that network anyway. You know, isn't it great to have a conservative media option out there?
Exactly. That's why we're seeing a lot of the numbers across the board sort of coming down for a lot of these networks. That's why you have, with the broadcast networks, all the late night cables or like the late night comedy shows are losing viewership. And because they have to compete against stuff that's online and shows that sort of tell the story that the way that they might want to take it a la carte, but at the same time, they're hearing messages and hearing bits of news and angles of stories that they necessarily wouldn't have heard previously, and especially with what we were just talking about earlier with the hostage releases. Like, you had ABC and NBC actually sort of touting what Trump was accomplished, calling it huge, remarkable achievement. Most certainly deserves, like, the saying Trump most certainly deserves credit, and it's come about because of his perseverance and his personality and attitude. Meanwhile, on MSNBC, you had Simone Sanders basically giving all the credit to the UK and France for recognizing Palestine as a state.
And also, we're seeing through any of the mainstream networks, if they start propping up the president, saying, oh, he may deserve the Nobel Peace Prize, and he's starting to do these things that are actually helping the people. If they start doing that more, we see through it. The people that are watching, again, the majority of the people watching right now, I believe, you guys see through that. You know that they're just doing that to try and win back viewers so they can spin it again and keep on lying. Am I right, Nick, or is that way off?
No, you're absolutely correct. They will spin a story however way they want. And a big thing that we track is what we just talked about with the numbers here. It's what they don't cover. It's the bias by omission that is a lot of their coverage. It's what they want to keep out. I mentioned earlier, it's the patterns they don't want you to see. We also have another study out about the Jay Jones here in Virginia. He's the Democratic candidate for the Attorney General, the top law enforcement officer in the entire state, and he has messages that come out saying that he wanted to kill a Republican Speaker of the House down here, the House of Delegates, and basically wanted to kill him, kill his kids. And the people he was messaging were just like, hey, dude, stop sending this to me. I don't want to see it. And meanwhile, ABC, CBS, PBS, public broadcasting had zero on this story. Meanwhile, it was definitely worth a story. CNN has covered it. NBC only gave it about 63 seconds, and that was last Sunday. And it only came up because Mark Short, a Republican, basically decided to bring it up on Meet the Press. So a Republican was the one that needed to bring up this story on one of the broadcast networks.
Speaking of Republican, if a Republican candidate for Attorney General of the state and the Commonwealth of Virginia would have texted what Jay Jones, the Democrat candidate, texted, we know how the media would handle that, wouldn't we?
Oh, absolutely. That's why you're also seeing not too much coverage of Abigail Spanberger's response yesterday in the debate, where Winsome Sears, the Republican, was grilling her, asking, like, why aren't you canceling your endorsement for this guy? Even the moderator was just like, ma'am, you did not answer my question about endorsements. And she just kept trying to pivot it away. And if this was a Republican, it would be all over CNN, all over MSNBC. Like, look at this Republican that can't answer this question and can't renounce the endorsement for this person that said these insanely heinous things. And a lot of the coverage that we've seen of this, like NBC basically, or what I should say is what coverage we do see of this, a lot of it, they don't want to talk about what was actually said in the messages, saying, oh, it was too heinous for us to show you. So you're not even going to tell us what it is that was being said. You're just going to, like, take our word for it and sort of hide how bad it actually was. That puts into context the calls for the dropping out of the race, that puts into context the calls for Abigail Spanberger to renounce her endorsement. So they're giving you only some of the context, not the full context.
Exactly. And when I think of the fake news, it's not only the content that they're, maybe a little bit of truth, but the rest of it's a lie. It's still a lie, right? So when I think of them, it's not only the content, I think it's also the appearance of everything. They really, have all the nice stuff, and there's nothing wrong with having a nice studio and lights and all that, but it's all fake though. It's all acting. It's all right out of the Hollywood playbook as well, to really just try and pull the wool over the people's eyes, that they will not see what the truth is. And it's great to be on the right side of history and to speak like this so freely. And I wrote down the other day that conservative media stands for truth, freedom, and common sense. The fake news, lies, control, and confusion. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. That's why we had earlier this year, CNN got sued for defamation and was found liable in a court earlier this year for malicious defamation of a Navy veteran for false claims they made about him running a black market to get people out of Afghanistan. That's why you saw MSNBC had to settle a defamation case earlier this year in April, shortly before it was going to go to trial, where they claimed a doctor who did some work for Border Patrol and ICE, sort of seeing migrant women, they falsely labeled him the uterus collector and completely smeared him. He was getting death threats to his practice, falsely labeling him this guy who was basically like, and what came out in that case was text messages and internal messaging at MSNBC where Chris Hayes, one of their hosts, admitted that, hey, this story kind of stinks. It doesn't smell like it's not passing the smell test, but we're kind of going to go with it anyway because it sort of harkens back to the Trump, like trying our efforts to link Trump to Nazism and Mengele and Kevorkian and all of these horrible butchers of humans. And it's like, oh, it sort of rings true, so we're going to go with it. And then they ended up getting sued for defamation and having to settle.
And back to the point of truth, right? When it comes to conservative media or the fake news, it's like, regardless, actually, let's really clear it out. It's really about truth, regardless of conservative media or the fake news, isn't it? Right? I mean, we can say, "Hey, we're conservative media. We always tell the truth." Well, that is 100% right, at least what I've been seeing. But regardless of which candidate or who's in office, it's all about truth. Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. That's why with a lot of Republicans, like we're also some of our harshest critics when it comes to either like weeding out rhinos or talking about like certain people not living up to conservative values. We often police our own. While what we're seeing now with a lot of the Democrats, particularly with like this the Virginia situation we were just talking about, is that a lot of them don't want to put pressure on Jay Jones to drop out. Or the media and other Democrats sort of going along with the illusion that Biden was cognitively present. And that's how they ended up in this situation where like they have to do that switcheroo at the last minute and then try to pretend that it wasn't this weird corrupt thing that you just like put in a new candidate without any primary votes specifically for Kamala Harris or anything. And then you have Jake Tapper coming along trying to like whitewash the media, trying to blame it just on Democrats. And even though the media completely lacked any sort of natural curiosity for the crazy things that would come out of Biden's mouth, like when he was in Ireland and he said we have to lick the world. Like if that was Trump, they would have been questioning his sanity from the moment those words came out of his mouth, and that would have been the narrative for weeks.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just shocking to see how much they tried to cover up. I don't know how you would be able to cover for someone like that. But let's shift over to something that I think a lot of people are questioning. A lot of people they have different opinions about it. Artificial intelligence. I know a lot of people that are watching right now say, you know what, that could be used for good, that could be used for bad, but it's really the thing that's coming up next, really. The robotics age, it's happening. Have you seen the ChatGPT Sora app where you can create your own AI-generated videos?
I have seen some of the products from that. I have not experimented with it myself. I know some of my friends like to experiment with different AI art sort of things because we play some nerdy games like Dungeons and Dragons, and we'll make custom art of our characters and stuff like that. But basically, I honestly, from my personal opinion, I think a net positive for AI. I do understand that there are obviously the deep fakes and the videos trying to stir discontent, especially from foreign actors trying to stir animosities here in the homeland. I think a lot of us are starting to get those sensibilities of being able to spot it really well, even while the quality goes up. And I think the fact that people know the dangers of it and that actually bodes well, that we're actually able to be aware ahead of time instead of like in some sort of sci-fi film or novel where the bad stuff sort of comes up on them and they don't even think of a bad thing can happen from a new technology. The fact that we have the cognizance to identify certain problems ahead of time, I think bodes well of being able to put in safeguards or even get society mentally ready to sort of identify certain problems or even nip it in the bud in some ways.
Exactly. And you know, things like Perplexity, you know, that sounds awesome. An AI personal assistant. It's something that I downloaded. but also a buddy of mine sent me an invite code to the Sora 2 Chat GPT AI, video generating software. And so I have it on my phone. I was checking it out. Created I just typed in a stadium full of people chanting USA, and I created the video. It looked real, and I'm like, wow, this is something. So it's like definitely a wave of the future of things happening. But I can understand where some people, and to be honest with myself, my buddy had to talk to me about it a little bit with this whole AI thing. I was like, oh, no, that's too big, and that could be used for bad. But the internet can be used for good, and that started one day back in the day, right? The iPhone back in 2007. So it's taken a minute for my mind to kind of open up to it all, but it's here, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think a lot of us realize that, like I was saying, like there are bad things that can happen, but the fact that we're aware that those bad things can happen sort of is the starting point for us to sort of be aware and sort of prepare ourselves personally, and for the creators and users to sort of understand that there could be some things that come from this. And I know there's some concern about artists and stuff like that, but at the same time, like, I know a lot of people who make custom art for different fantasy settings and stuff like that, but there are a lot of people that, one, wouldn't have been their customers to begin with because they didn't have the money to spend on an artist and go through all this stuff that they can just plug into there. So you're not really losing a customer because they didn't have the funds to pay you to begin with, so they never going to go to you to commission a piece of artwork. So yeah, there are questions about this, but I'm definitely one. I came up, I grew up in the 90s, so I spent a good chunk of my life not without the internet, playing outside and stuff like that, and then coming up with the internet. And I think there is a good balance that you can have, and I do think the internet is net positive on society, and then how we're able to share information and communicate.
Exactly. And really make your life a lot easier, it seems like, with AI. However, we want to have a government that's on the right side of history in the country that also, there's different regulations. There's different things that can be done out of all this. It's an area that it's uncharted waters. I wouldn't want a whole AI revolution in a place like China. You know what I mean? I'd rather have someone like President Trump or, JD Vance or whoever the next Republican candidates will be and the next president, that kind of thing. So let's pause for a second, Nick. I'd like to hold you on here for a few more minutes, and let's go to All Family Pharmacy. Most pharmacies stop at the basics. They hand you your prescription and send you on your way, but thankfully there's one pharmacy that's different, All Family Pharmacy. And of course, they carry the essentials: antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and everyday prescriptions. But they don't stop there. They go further by offering advanced health solutions you won't find at most places, from NAD+ for energy and healthy aging, to methylene blue for sharper focus, to glutathione for detox and immune support, and Samoralin to support better sleep and recovery. They're giving Americans access to both essential medications and innovative biohacking products to help you feel and perform your best. This is more than just about medicine. It's about taking control of your health, whether you're preparing for emergencies, managing day-to-day needs, or optimizing long-term performance. And that's why so many people are choosing All Family Pharmacy, because they have everything you need all in one place, including the doctor's prescription. So you can visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and get what you need for your family. Don't forget to use that RSBN 10 promo code that you see there on your screen to get that 10% off. One more great sponsor here on Right Side. Monetary Gold, of course. Two banks have unfortunately already failed in 2025, and with $37 trillion in national debt, Monetary Gold says more failures, unfortunately, are on the way. It's not fear-mongering, it's reality. The banking system is built on quicksand. Every new failure threatens depositors, retirement accounts, and pensions. The government can't bail out everyone, and when confidence collapses, so does the system. So Monetary Gold tells us not to get trapped holding worthless paper. So go ahead and call that number you see there on your screen, 888-617-7994, or go to rsbnforthegold.com and secure your wealth with real assets that don't depend on others. Instead, have gold and silver as an option there. So Nick Fondacaro with the Media Research Center, thank you so much for standing by as we get ready to see President Trump from the Oval Office. Any information on, you brought up PBS before, but anything on NPR at all?
Oh yeah, Clay Waters did a study basically looking at their guest counts since getting their funding cut, and it's seemingly gotten worse. They've had 53 liberal guests to 3 conservative guests. That's a ratio of 17.7 to 1. When it came to having political officials on, 12 Democrats to 1 GOP, and they had 6 liberal journalists to 0 conservative journalists. So basically, this is it proves the cutting of their funding was warranted, that this is what they were willing to put on a show, mind you, called All Things Considered. Clearly, only one thing was considered.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's a great point. You stole the words out of my mouth, and it proves that your tax dollars and mine and everybody else that's watching shouldn't be going to something like that. It was government funded. Can you believe that for so long? Well, not anymore under President Trump's watch and the great people in that White House and within the administration. Let's shift over to a couple other items as we continue to wait for President Trump and the Oval Office announcement. I mean, there's just been so much going on in the 24/7 news cycle. I wanted to get your thoughts on that memorial on September 21st, 2025 for Charlie Kirk, the great late Charlie Kirk, who 1 month ago today tragically lost his life to an assassin. But your thoughts about the memorial and moving forward for Turning Point USA and freedom and God, family, country, and all of that.
It was a very touching ceremony. A lot of people who hearts were broken that day, or hopefully have a little bit of mending to see all the other people who were going through the same things and having the same feelings that they were. Some hopeful messages for the future there about picking up his microphone and carrying forward. And hopefully his death could actually bring about some changes here. But again, like what I was pointing out with the Jay Jones stuff and the SCOTUS stuff, there seems to be just like a lot of like pent up animus from the left, and still some of what we're seeing with the rhetoric coming against Trump and ICE and stuff like that. You still have a lot of people on the left who they seem to be using rhetoric. The fact that we had a national conversation about needing to tone down the rhetoric, and then just a few short weeks later, they're right back at it, sort of shows that they know that their rhetoric can do some stuff, and they really don't seem to care. They're more about trying to win elections and saying whatever like ends justify the means for a lot of them, it seems like. And it basically just saying this stuff, just regardless of whether or not it's going to trigger some crazy lunatic or some person who hears these comments, or when they're prefacing elections around like Trump being Hitler, Republicans are Nazis, ICE are the Gestapo, and that they're going to try to steal an election, and that we're never going to be allowed to vote again. What means do these crazy people have left, right? Besides doing something horrific, like that, the way that they're framing the future of the country being in jeopardy and existential crisis, they're creating this idea that, hey, the only way that these people can see to enact political change is violence rather than casting a ballot.
They're just simply trying to stir up the masses. But the thing is I don't think it's the masses that would get stirred up. To your point, it's someone else in a much smaller, situation of the amount of people that would do something so horrific. It makes me think while you were speaking there, about the Bible. The enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And isn't that what the left-wing extremists want? They want our country to be destroyed. They want to, I can go on for a while there, but Jesus came so we can have life and have it more abundantly. So you can see the difference big time right there. All right, so Nick Fondacaro with Media Research Center. Thanks so much for spending so much time with us here on the broadcast. I hope you have a great day, great weekend. We'll see you again soon.
Same for you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, sir. All right, so it is 4:53 Friday, October 10th at 5 o'clock. The president is expected to make that announcement from the Oval Office. Before we get to some more news of the day, thank you so much for watching. We see that it's 4:53 again, Friday, October 10th. Let's go into some of the news that we're following here, at least within the past hour and for the past few hours throughout the news cycle of this Friday. We're following that tragic news out of Tennessee. where nearly 20 people are feared dead after an explosion at a factory in Middle Tennessee. Still watching the developments as to how that happened. I do know that I've read reports that it was at an explosives factory, but still, the factory's been there for a while. Now, feared dead 20 victims. We'll be monitoring the latest on that. Also today, the Attorney General Pam Bondi made that announcement about political violence. Let's replay that few minute of a soundbite there from the Attorney General Pam Bondi, which that announcement was within the past few hours. Let's take a look.
We've been living through a horrific cycle of political violence in this country. We've seen attacks against police officers, federal agents, including the deadly shooting in the ICE facility in Dallas. Night after night, Antifa wreaks havoc on our streets of our cities. In Minnesota, a gunman murdered a state lawmaker and her husband. It was horrific. An anti-Semitic lunatic tried to burn down Governor Shapiro's house while he was in it with his wife and young children. This week, authorities arrested a man outside a Catholic church in Washington, D.C., with hundreds of explosive devices. And on September 10th, our nation stopped in its tracks with the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We miss him dearly. Unfortunately, I'm here today to talk about similar threats that were made against Benny Johnson and his wife, Kate. Benny's a well-known media personality, carrying a message very similar to Charlie's, grounded largely in faith and love of country. Just days after Charlie's assassination, Benny received a letter at his home where he and Kate are raising their beautiful, beautiful young family. The author of this letter made it very clear that he hated Benny because of his views, and he wanted Benny dead. This was a coward hiding behind a keyboard who thought he could get away with this. That's why we're standing up here today. You are not going to get away with threatening people in this way. And I'm proud to announce that we have arrested the author of this letter. George Isbell Jr. was taken into custody this morning, and we are charging him federally with mailing threatening communications. It is a crime, and if convicted, he is going to prison. This was incredible teamwork. Benny called me right away. Chief Burkall, thank you. You were on it right away. Matt Fodor and all the FBI agents. Thank you, U.S. Attorney Kehoe. All of the U.S. Postal Service, FBI, state and local law enforcement working together. This is what it's about. And we are going to catch you if you think you can do something like this. We don't care if you're across the country in California. We will find you, we will arrest you, we will extradite you, and we will bring you to justice. We cannot allow this political violence to continue any longer. This arrest will serve as a reminder to many. Do not do this. We will find you.
All right, so we're about 3 minutes from the top of the hour. Of course, we've been hearing a lot about the political violent rhetoric out there, needing it to stop, of course, and then outside of that, when it comes to the DOJ and the investigations, the indictments, we're covering all of those stories as we have seen the indictment to James Comey, and we'll see if that list continues to grow. Let's go now as we get close to seeing the president there at the Oval Office. This great post from Turning Point USA earlier today. 1 month ago today, it reads, "We carry Charlie's mission in our hearts and his fight in our hands. For God, for freedom, for America." And isn't that it? For God, for freedom, for America, for family, for the Constitution. The list goes on. But that's really what it's about. That's what Charlie stood for. And that's what everybody that is joining with TPUSA, these chapters at high schools and colleges and all of these events that are happening throughout the country, they're all standing there and saying, you know what? We are Charlie. We believe in what he believed in. He believed in God. He believed in country and family, and he was out there speaking about it. And look at the courage and look at the boldness in North Dakota just yesterday at a tvOS event as everyone packed this auditorium, standing there for the late, great Charlie Kirk. Every single event packed, and people are saying, I'm standing up for freedom. I'm standing up for Charlie. I'm standing up for what's right. And we just hope and pray, and we work hard, and securing our elections is part of the whole thing too under the Trump administration, for the right people to be in office, but also to pray for those and those out there that need a heart change, a mind change, but also through programs like this or anywhere out there. People have information at their fingertips. They can hopefully, when these tragedies happen, good can still come out of it somehow. It's horrible to even have to say that, but Romans 8:28 is what Charlie believed in. It's what I believe in. It's what you guys believe in, most of you that are watching. And if you don't believe that, maybe one day you will. But the point is, Romans 8:28, and we know that with God, all things are possible. And we know that all things work together for the good to those that love God and are called according to his purpose. So great scripture, right? Romans 8:28. Let's move on to a couple sponsors as we await the President of the United States, the Commander-in-Chief. Most pharmacies, actually, let's go with Callsheet. Callsheet.com/RSBN. Of course, if you download the app or just go to the QR code, if you're looking to bet, trade, or just check out polls for a number of different topics out there, weather, sports, faith, politics, all sorts of questions, you can check it out. Callsheet.com/RSBN. You can download the app. You can go to the QR code. More than 1 million users on Callsheet. And remember Elon Musk talking about Callsheet one time as well. So it's definitely getting more and more popular out there as well. Let's move on now to allfamilypharmacy.com. Most pharmacies, unfortunately, they stop at the basics. They hand you your prescription and send you on your way. But thankfully, there's one pharmacy that's different, All Family Pharmacy. And of course, they carry the essentials like antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and everyday prescriptions. But they don't stop there. They go further by offering these advanced health solutions you won't find at most places. So you have NAD+, that's for energy and healthy aging. There's methylene blue for sharper focus. There's glutathione for detox and immune support, and Simorlin to support better sleep and recovery. They're giving Americans access to both essential medications and innovative biohacking products to help you feel and perform at your best. So this is about more than just medicine. This is all about managing your day-to-day needs and optimizing long-term performance. So that's why so many people are choosing All Family Pharmacy, because they have everything you need all in one place, including the doctor's prescription. So visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and get what you need for your family. Don't forget to use that RSBN10 promo code to save 10%. All right, so it's 2 minutes after 5 o'clock on the East Coast. That's 2 o'clock out there on the West Coast. And thanks so much for watching in the Mountain Time Zone, Central Time Zone, wherever you're watching right now on this Friday, October 10th. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks again for streaming in. Of course, you saw Robert McNeely in studio earlier. He was covering the First Lady Melania Trump's speech, which we can go to here in just a second. It's about a 5-minute announcement. But in the meantime, we're waiting for the president to make his announcement, which will be happening momentarily, or as you guys have grown accustomed to, especially when you watch Right Side Broadcasting Network. How many times has it been where myself or Robert McNeely or Christina Loren or others out there, are live at the rally, and President Trump was expected to speak at 7. Well, it happened at 7:30. It's just part of the way it is. So we'll have to hang tight together. But in the meantime, why don't we go to the First Lady's speech from just earlier today. It's about a 5-minute announcement. And then if we do see that live feed from inside the Oval Office, we'll cut right to that and we'll bring that to you live. But in the meantime, let's go to the First Lady from earlier.
Good morning. Good morning. A child's soul knows no borders, no flags. We must foster a future for our children, which is rich with potential, security, and complete with free will. A world where dreams will be realized rather than faded by war. Much has unfolded since President Putin received my letter last August. He responded in writing, signaling a willingness to engage with me directly and outlining details regarding the Ukrainian children residing in Russia. And since then, President Putin and I have had an open channel of communication regarding the welfare of these children. For the past 3 months, both sides have participated in several back-channel meetings and calls, all in good faith. We have agreed to cooperate with each other for the benefit of all people involved in this war. My representative has been working directly with President Putin's team to ensure the safe reunification of children with their families between Russia and Ukraine. In fact, 8 children have been rejoined with their families during the past 24 hours. Each child has lived in turmoil because of the war in Ukraine. 3 were separated from their parents and displaced to the Russian Federation because of frontline fighting. The other 5 were separated from family members across borders because of the conflict, including 1 young girl who has now been reunited from Ukraine to Russia. I have learned a lot about this matter during the past 3 months. Russia has demonstrated a willingness to disclose objective and detailed information reflective for the current situation. The Russian Federation provided biographies and photographs of each child involved in this week's reunification, along with an overview of the social, medical, and psychological services afforded to the Ukrainian children. Further, I was provided a detailed report which verified the identities and circumstances of these 8 individuals. The U.S. government confirmed the facts contained within this document are accurate. It is important to note the original verification report was jointly prepared by the Commissioner of the Verkhovna Rada of Ukraine for Human Rights and Office of the Russian Presidential Commissioner for Children's Rights. As First Lady, this is an important initiative for me. It is built on shared purpose and lasting impact. My ongoing mission is twofold: to optimize a transparent, free-flow exchange of health-related information surrounding all children who have fell victim to this war, and to facilitate the regular reunification of children with their families until each individual returns home. Additionally, I have raised concerns regarding those who were minors at the time they were displaced by the war, but have since reached adulthood and currently reside in Russia. Given the dangers of traversing this war-torn region, their safe return requires coordinated assistance. Accordingly, Russia has agreed to rejoin the individuals who have turned 18 within a short period of time. Again, this remains an ongoing effort. Plans are already underway to reunify more children in the immediate future. I hope peace will come soon. It can begin with our children. Thank you.
Madam First Lady, are you speaking with President Putin?
Madam First Lady, will you be joining the President in the Middle East?
All right, we brought you that live coverage earlier today, of course, as it's now 5:09 Eastern Time. Looking forward to seeing that live feed to the Oval Office. President Trump to make that announcement. We'll have it here for you in its entirety. In the meantime, let's talk about MyPillow.com. Of course, if you would like to check out more than 2,000 products, all sorts of, variations of sizes, colors, all that stuff. It's all there for you. So just go to mypillow.com/RSBN and use the RSBN promo code. A lot of great products there. As many of you know, go ahead and put in the chat if you'd like on Rumble or wherever you're watching right now, what items you have from MyPillow. Great Mike Lindell, of course, always talking about the elections because that is one of the most important things to take care of in this country. And that is number 19 out of 20 on the 20 core promises to the American people, all about securing our elections, same-day voting, paper ballots, the machines, see you later, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of detail there that I'm sure we'll be hearing about from the administration in the near future in regards to the election. But back to Mike Lindell, mypillow.com/RSBN. And let's also talk about the following, RSBN. If you'd like to donate to us, all you have to do is text RSBN to 801-801 or go to the website, rsbnetwork.com/donate. Everything that you see when it comes to lights, cameras, when it comes to all of the rallies back in the day. But now these live feeds that we get are not free when it comes to what we see here coming up. It's just it definitely costs some money. So if you would like to help out, please do. Text RSBN to 801-801 or rsbnetwork.com/donate. All right. It's 10 minutes after 5 o'clock. Thanks again for joining us here on RSBN Live. We're following some of that tragic news out of Tennessee, where nearly 20 people are feared dead after an explosion at a factory there in Middle Tennessee. It's just west of Nashville, not too far west on 40 West out there. So that's a story that we're keeping our eye on. Of course, we heard from the Attorney General Pam Bondi earlier about political violence, and also TPUSA speaking about the fact that it's been 1 month since the great late Charlie Kirk was assassinated. But, a lot of people across this country and around the world, if you just think about the amount of impact, right? It was so huge and still is to this day. And you see at all of those TPUSA events, everybody's still chanting Charlie and being there to stand up for God, family, and country. It's pretty awesome to see that, as you saw earlier, that post from TPUSA. So for God, for freedom, and for America. Also, tomorrow, the Department of War Secretary Pete Hegseth, he'll deliver a speech in Virginia as the Marines get ready to celebrate 250 years of service. That'll be next month. So November 10th, 1775 to 2026, actually. 250 years they'll be celebrating, but also we know that the Secretary will be speaking tomorrow in Virginia. And we'll have that live for you right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. And throughout this year, the Marine Corps has hosted public events and celebrations across the country, including Boston, Massachusetts. Let's take a look.
We've received such a warm welcome from the individuals in Boston. Between Boston, Marblehead, and entirely the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, they've really embraced the Marine Corps the entire week. The city of Boston has been overwhelmingly kind to every single Marine, welcomed us with open arms, and we want to say thank you for that warm reception. I certainly want to say thank you again. As a Marine, it is personally very rewarding to come back to a location and celebrate 250 amazing years.
It will be very difficult, if not impossible, to find a city that treats the Marine Corps any better than the city of Boston.
So that coverage from Virginia will be starting tomorrow at 5:30 Eastern Time. If the time changes at all for the start time, we will still be here live for you and hear from the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth. So we'll be checking that out, and hopefully you will too. Also, coming up early next week, a lot going on. We know that the president will be traveling, I believe, Sunday into Monday. So as we get more confirmation on all of those details, we'll share that with you. In the meantime, today is day 10 of the Democrat government shutdown. We're learning that the reduction in force process has started within the government, meaning people are starting to lose their jobs because of the Democrat shutdown. So you think of Democrats like Chuck Schumer, of course, AOC, J.B. Pritzker, Brandon Johnson, Gavin Newsom, Karen Bass. Bleh. I got to do that after I say all those names because let's be real. I mean, they're not doing the right things. So basically, the only thing we can do is vote them out. Vote them out and pray that it works because we know that they're not doing the right thing out there. And so we want the National Guard. We want ICE to do what ICE does best, mass deportation operation, because 3 elections in a row, obviously President Trump won in a major landslide. He won big time in 2020, but we know what happened there. So that's a lot of us out there saying, hey, we want law and order. We want safety. We want our country to be wealthy again. We want the border to be closed. We don't want our country to go the way of maybe the UK or China right now. I mean, I keep saying the UK, but if you look at it, the freedom of speech, I don't know if they have much over there. And that's what the people want there. And that's what we want here. And we have it right now. And I think that's the point why, you know, I've brought on some guests here on the broadcast that talk about, hey, we want to see these indictments with people that are in the deep state. President Trump said over the campaign season that he would dismantle the deep state and obliterate the globalists. He said it. I was at a speech at CPAC that he said that. And we know that he's about that. We know that he's also the top cop. He's the chief law enforcement officer. President Trump is. So, and I think I'm just echoing what the sentiment is out there. The majority of the country is saying, hey, we know we like what we see right now. We love this golden age. We love winning. But we also want these reforms to be cemented into the future. And we don't want the deep state to get back into power, even though a lot of the people that we see on this side of things are just the puppets of the deep state. Anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. Let's get into something else, or I'll keep on talking about it. Director, did you just mention? Oh, okay. Let's go to crypto.com in the meantime. And let's be clear about crypto. It's no longer emerging. It's actually here. And this latest move cements that reality in a big way. So Trump Media actually just inked a massive $6.4 billion deal with Yorkville Acquisition Corp and Crypto.com. It's the crypto platform trusted by millions of users worldwide. So they're teaming up to scoop up that $6.4 billion in CRO. That's the powerhouse token that fuels fast and low fee DeFi, which means decentralized finance, staking rewards, and real world perks like cashback on your spends to establish America's first CRO treasury, Trump Media Group CRO strategy. So when it's done, this new company will be the biggest publicly traded CRO holder out there. And if you want in on the action, all you have to do is go to crypto.com today and let's make crypto great again. To buy CRO, visit crypto.com today. Let's also talk about Perplexity. I've been hearing a lot of people talk about it. I heard Joe Rogan talk about this as well. And I have a quick question for you. How much time do you spend every day on a web browser? How much time do you spend clicking around online, searching, scrolling, typing endless tabs? It's a lot, right? Well, there's a new AI web browser from Perplexity. It's called Comet. And I've used this before. It's completely changing the way you're able to interact with your browser. So using Comet feels more like having a personal assistant living in your web browser that can actually do things for you across the internet and actually do things, not just give you answers. So you can ask Comet to handle tasks for you. It literally clicks, types, searches, and scrolls just like you would to get things done for you in the background while you go about your day. So Comet can shop for you, make reservations, book travel, summarize articles or videos, send emails, schedule meetings, and a lot more to make your life easier. So you can download Perplexity's new AI web browser. It's called Comet. You see it right there. By heading to that website that you see at the bottom right of your screen next to the RSBN logo. Let your browser work for you. Plus, right now, when you download Comet, you get a month of Rumble Premium for free. There's the website right there. Go now and take back your time online. And I, looked the other day at it and I said, well, so if I want to book travel from this city to that city, Comet will actually do all that work for you. Or if you have a meeting at 2 o'clock next Thursday, you just tell it, hey, I have a meeting next Thursday. It'll put it right there in your calendar on your phone. And then dinner with the Smiths at 6. You know what I mean? Pretty cool stuff. I'm opening to this AI thing. This is my personal take on it. I'm not used to it. Nobody is, but this robotics age is a real thing that's happening. And I'm hoping it's always for the good. That's just my personal opinion on it. I believe, obviously, Perplexity is great. Crypto.com, I'm not even into Bitcoin at this point, but maybe I will someday. It's just something for me. It takes me a minute to kind of go, huh. But you think about it. Back in 2007, and I'll get back to the president here. As soon as we see him, we'll take it there live. He was scheduled for 5 o'clock. It's 5:19. No big deal. We'll continue to stay with you here. The iPhone, right? Back in 2007, when Steve Jobs made that first announcement that this is not just an internet communicator. It's not just an iPod. It's not just a phone. It's all 3 in 1. You remember that announcement? I love watching it. I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to just videos and watching history and all that. And it's just such a cool moment because he described it as there's 3 different parts of this. There's 3 new devices. And he says, did you get it? It's not just 3 devices. It's just 1 device. And I'm calling it iPhone. And the crowd was like, whoa, this is amazing and all that, right? Well, that revolutionized everything, we know. The internet as well. And so we use the internet for good. We use the iPhone for good. You know how many times I've taken a photo of an American flag randomly out there traveling, and I'm like, I just post it and I just type America, and I get a lot of likes on Truth Social. You know, that's a good thing. And I use the phone. Well, I think the AI situation, and thanks to my buddy in part for this, he kind of talked to me about all the AI stuff. And I think that, you know, it could be used for good. I know a lot of people out there are like hesitant, but it's a new age that we're looking at, and I'm not saying I'm going to get a humanoid robot at my house doing the laundry and dishes anytime soon or driving me around, but we'll see. I don't know. As long as it's in the right hands, right? And that's why it's good to have a good government like President Trump and this team in office. I wouldn't want AI, I don't think, when it comes to like being under a government that is like maybe in China. Speaking of China, President Trump posting a lot about China today. I don't know if you saw that on Truth Social, so I'm going to pull that up on my phone and read it. Didn't plan on going to this post, but might as well since we're speaking about China. And while I look up this post, did you hear about Philadelphia, the City Hall in Philadelphia? I was up in Pennsylvania, that's where I'm originally from, over the past couple weeks, and traveled to Philly because I saw that there was the Chinese flag, the CCP flag was up there at the City Hall in Philly, a government building, 10 minutes away from Independence Hall, where our entire country was founded at the birth of freedom there, 1787, when they wrote that Constitution and everything. You know, Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson, George Washington. You know, it's just wild to be outside of Independence Hall. And actually, you could tour it inside. I did that before, too. It's pretty cool stuff. But 10 minutes away was the CCP flag. Are you serious, Philadelphia? Come on now. They were flying it right next to the American flag, saying something about trade and all that. And, you know, we have a sister city, Philadelphia does, in China. And you still don't fly a communist flag. Like, what are you smoking, right? Anyway, so let me get to President Trump's Truth Social post about China here. This is within 32 minutes ago, actually. He said, quote, it has just been learned that China has taken an extraordinarily aggressive position on trade and sending an extremely hostile letter to the world, stating that they were going to, effective November 1st of this year, impose large-scale export controls on virtually every product they make, and some not even made by them. This affects all countries, the president says, without exception, and was obviously a plan devised by them years ago. This on Truth Social, President Trump about 32 minutes ago. It is absolutely unheard of in international trade and a moral disgrace in dealing with other nations. The president also continuing on Truth Social saying, based on the fact that China has taken this unprecedented position and speaking only for the USA and not for other nations who are similarly threatened, starting November 1st, 2025 or sooner, depending on any further actions taken by China or changes taken by China, the United States of America will impose a tariff of 100% on China over and above any tariff that they are currently paying. Also on November 1st, we will impose export controls on any and all critical software. The president says it is impossible to believe that China would have taken such an action, but they have, and the rest is history. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. All right, it is 4:24 Central Time, 5:24 on the East Coast. Thanks again for those of you watching in the Mountain Time Zone out there on the West Coast, and also anywhere else that you're watching. I know that there's some people that watch from the UK. I know there's some people that watch from Alaska, and I have seen Hawaii as well. So it's pretty cool to see everybody tune in, of course, live stream for President Trump, which any minute now we'll see that live feed into the Oval Office, and we'll go there for this live announcement from the President of the United States. Again, scheduled for that 5 o'clock hour, now 25 minutes after the hour on this Friday, October 10th. Looking forward to the weekend. Of course, a lot of football being played coming up, but there's also a lot of politics going on in the sense of news. We know that the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, will be speaking in Virginia tomorrow. We'll have live coverage of that. I believe our coverage starts at 5:30 Eastern tomorrow. And then we'll hear from Pete Hegseth, the leader of the Department of War. And then it looks like on Sunday, there may not be any live coverage at this point, but early Monday, there may be from Israel. So we will have any live coverage that we see when it comes to the president's public schedule. As it permits, we get that schedule usually the night before. So today, of course, is Friday. So last night we heard that there would be a 5 o'clock announcement today, and here we are. Let's go to angelpace.com as we await the president there at the Oval Office out of Spring, Texas. Of course, a lot of great products there. You can check them all out. They also hire military veterans, longtime great sponsor here, but also great products. So just check out angelpace.com. The Miracle Cream is the flagship product, but they have other products there. And use that RSBN promo code. Again, you'll get that percentage off. Let's go over to something else that I think is really cool. It's this machine here. You think about tap water. I don't like tap water. I'm pretty sure most of you don't either. So this is the solution for that. And remember that water crisis in Flint, Michigan a while back. You'd think America would have gotten its act together by now on clean drinking water, but unfortunately we have to think again. Lead and heavy metals are still showing up in city after city. The pipes running into your home, they're really, really old. And what's flowing through them is not what you'd want to give your kids either. So that's why the Cove Pure water purifier is one of the best investments you can make to keep your family safe. Because unlike the government with this water industry situation, Cove Pure actually does its job. So the EPA said millions of Americans are still exposed to lead in tap water. Lead exposure, by the way, doesn't just make your water taste like chewing on a car battery or just terrible. It unfortunately also causes some very serious problems, brain damage, cancer, long-term health issues. But sure, trust the city council with your children's brains. What could go wrong there? So Cove Pure is the obvious fix. Their ClearWave technology removes up to 99.9% of contaminants, lead, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, you name it. No plumbers, no drilling. Just plug it in on your countertop. Set the temperature you want with the touchscreen, and it actually tastes like water. Imagine that. So don't wait around for the government to solve this. Go to covepure.com/RSBN and get $200 off while supplies last. You can take back control of your family's health and finally drink water the way it was meant to be. All right, so a number of great sponsors there, including Cove Pure right there. And to those of you that are in city council that are on the right side of history, thank you for what you're doing. And those of you that are thinking about running for any kind of office and you are a common sense, just love God, family, country, and love freedom, please run for office or get into conservative media or just keep speaking about the truth to your friends, your neighbors, coworkers, and just, and I know that you can't always do that either. You can't always speak to coworkers about politics because the boss might hear and the boss might be a liberal. Ugh, what a situation to be in, which I've been in that situation plenty of times working in the mainstream media and local news. You can't really talk about, hey, news director or producer, I think we really should talk about Jesus today a little bit more and how the country needs, salvation or President Trump is the right person for the job. You know what I mean? You can't usually just go up and say that. But it is a free country, so I guess you could. All right, it's the bottom of the hour, 5:29, almost the bottom of the hour, 5:30. We're seeing the live picture from the Oval Office. The press, they're set. That means we are too. So as soon as we see the president, we will take you there live. And then after this announcement, of course, we'll hear from the press as well. So a number of questions from the press there. And then after that, we'll be wrapping up our coverage as long as there's no breaking news, which, hey, if there's breaking news, we'll cover it. But usually breaking news isn't always positive. All right. My name is Matthew Alvarez. Thanks again for joining us. You can follow us on Truth Social and on X. It's at RSB Network on X. It's at RSBN on Truth Social. Millions of people literally following on both, between both. More than 1 million on X and more than 3 million on Truth Social. If you'd like to follow me, it's at Matthew Alvarez. And if you'd like to follow anybody else when it comes to RSBN, like Robert McNeely, you can just search their names and they'll pop up there on Truth Social. Truth Social. I love Truth Social. Thank God for Truth Social. All right. We see the podium there. And any minute now, we'll see the President of the United States. Next week's going to be quite busy as well. Right out of the gate on Monday, as I believe the President will be overseas. So we'll be covering the events. And as we get that public schedule for the President, we will definitely, on my Truth Social, I just post the public schedule. But you guys can check that out too on various places out there that report the public schedule for the President. But you can always check out RSBN as well, because usually what you see when these live events happen is because we're just reflecting what we've seen in the public schedule for the President. And again, to those that donate out there, this live feed right here is not something that we just rip and take. We can't do that. This is costs a lot of money just to get that feed for you. So if you'd like to donate, just text RSBN to 801-801 or rsbnetwork.com/donate. It's making me think about when I say those things about RSBN, like donate by texting RSBN to 801-801. It makes me think about all those times that we were live out there at all those rallies. And will there be a lot of rallies coming up for the midterm elections? I think there will be. Will there be tele-rallies where the President will be speaking via screen at the White House, and there'll be a lot of people at the actual event there? Or will the President show up to him? We'll see what happens. But RSBN, of course, since 2015, wow. It's now 2025. And speaking of milestones, might as well talk about one real quick with Truth Social. On October 22nd, a few days yet from now, that'll be 3 years that I've been on Truth Social. And it's just, I don't know, I just love Truth Social. It's great to be on there with community and all of you guys out there. And those that are on the left that are on Truth, hey, it's a free country and an app for anyone to be on. So glad that's out there. Also, in 4 days from now, a very important, very, very important day is the National Remembrance of Charlie Kirk. All right, so we'll be talking about that, I'm sure. Let's go now to President Donald Trump at the White House there. How's everybody? Yeah.
Nice to have you. There's a big announcement. We have a lot of big announcements. They're sort of all big announcements, actually. It's wonderful to be in the Oval Office. I think you probably like it the best. You like it the best for press conferences? I sort of do. But today I'm excited to announce another historic achievement in our quest to lower drug prices for all Americans. Prices have come way down. We've gotten prices way down for groceries, for oil especially. Today we broke $60 a barrel. We think the oil is going to be under $2 a gallon very soon. That's about 70% lower than what it was just a year ago. So that's a big thing. And when the oil comes down, everything comes down. It's pretty beautiful to watch. AstraZeneca, the largest pharmaceutical manufacturer in the United Kingdom, is committing to offer Americans major discounts on their vast catalog of prescription drugs, one of the great companies, by the way, and a most favored nation's pricing clause. So most favored nation is you're going to pay whatever the lowest price anywhere in the world is. That's what you're going to be paying. And I had it going very well in my first term, but we were interrupted by a rigged election, so I was unable to carry it forward. We started it, but this was something one of the reasons I wanted to run again was we had to have favored nations where the world is not going to be paying just a tiny fraction of what we were paying. I want to thank CEO Pascal Soriot, a very highly respected, one of the most respected men in business and certainly in the industry, for joining us today, as well as Secretary Howard Lutnick, Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr., CMS Administrator Mehmet Oz, FDA Commissioner Marty McCary, and Virginia Governor, a man who's done an incredible job. And good luck with the upcoming election. I know you're working very hard. I watch you. You're right there. He's out there working. He wants to see that young woman win. And the Attorney General, who I endorsed, et cetera, Glenn Youngkin. Thank you very much, Glenn. Thank you for being here. For many years, Americans have paid the highest prices anywhere in the world for prescription drugs by far, many times the amount that other countries are paying is ridiculous. Upon taking office, I signed an executive order to make sure that Americans pay no more for prescription medications than the lowest price for the same drug in other locations in developing nations. Today, AstraZeneca is committing to offer all of their prescription medications to Medicaid at most favored nations prices. In other words, the lowest price anywhere in the world, that's what we get. A move that will save American taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars each year. And I tell the story, Glenn, that in my first term, I had the honor of being the first president in 28 years to lower drug prices during the course of the year. And we actually did, and I was so proud of myself. We called a news conference. I announced it. It was 1/8 of 1%. 1/8 of 1%. Now drug prices are going to be going down 100%, 400%, 600%, 1,000% in some cases. But for 1/8 of a cent, Bobby, think of that. I was so proud because for 28 years, nobody had done it. And now it's, I think back to that, I said I shouldn't have had that news conference. But it is true. I was the only one that did it, but it was not very much. And now we're going to get, in some cases, 1,000% reduction. This is going to have a huge impact on everything from Social Security to Medicare to Medicaid, anything where they're buying any prescription drugs. It's going to have an incredible impact. It's going to lower itself greatly. AstraZeneca will also list many of their most popular drugs online at TrumpRx.gov. TrumpRx. I don't know why they put the name Trump. I did not tell them to do it, but I'm honored to let them do it. That's true, actually. That heavily reduced most favored nations cost. Americans can expect discounts, and as I said, it could be in many cases way over 100%. And as an example, one particular drug that's hot, very hot, 654% on inhalers, COPD and asthma, as well as certain diabetics medications. They're going to be averaging about 654% reduction in price. You believe that one? the Democrats will say, well, he should have gotten more. It's crazy. In addition, all medications AstraZeneca introduces to the American market going forward will also be sold at these heavily discounted rates. Furthermore, AstraZeneca will invest $50 billion in the United States over the next 5 years for research and development of new drugs and to onshore manufacturing facilities across the country, like the new plant that broke ground yesterday in Charlottesville, Virginia, where the governor attended. They had a tremendous group of people attending. It's going to have 3,600 jobs just to begin with. And that's going to be a fantastic plant. I saw a picture. It's going to be the best, right? You can't get any better. This is a tremendous victory for Virginia and for American patients and for everything, for the country. It's an amazing company to have coming over to the United States in such a big way. That's going to be a big part of the company. Presidents have promised for years to lower the cost of health care, but my administration is actually the first to do it and do it substantially, do it at numbers that nobody thought, even I thought, were not possible. When you think of it, if you got a 1%, 2%, 5%, that's good. You did a good job. We're talking about 100, 200, 300, 500, 700 in some cases, some big, big numbers. And the largest drug companies in the world are working with us to make this a reality. And so I look forward to being at your opening of that incredible facility. I hear something, and it's in a great location, Len, right? One of the beautiful locations. So I'd now like to ask Secretary Kennedy to say a few words, followed by Dr. Oz, Pascal, Governor Youngkin, and we'll take some questions afterwards. Would anybody like to have some questions? Yes? Oh, I'm shocked. Okay, we'll take them right after, okay? Bobby, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I talked about this a little yesterday in the cabinet meeting, but it's worth repeating because it shows this historical achievement as really monumental. When I was in my confirmation process, virtually every Democratic senator showed me their preoccupation with making sure that we completed, that I was going to continue to get a commitment from me to continue the IRA drug price negotiations. That the IRA required the Democrats, while President Biden was in the first year of the IRA, to negotiate 10 drug prices down. And then I was supposed to, my first year, negotiate 15 and 15 every year thereafter, and that was their plan. The Democrats claimed that they had a 22% reduction, and that was a great success. When we actually looked at that, when I came into the agency, we realized we were actually paying more for 8 of the 10 drugs. The 22% reduction was off of list price, and Medicare ended up paying more for 8 of the drugs, equal for the 9th, and about a 2% discount on the 10th drug. So that was the plan, and that's what they did. We are continuing the IRA negotiations, but thanks to the president's leadership, we have achieved something extraordinary here, which is a dream that he's had for 20 years because he's the common sense president. He saw something 20 years ago. He learned that we were paying 3, 4, 5, sometimes 10 times for the same drug as they were paying in European countries. Some of these drugs were manufactured in facilities in New Jersey and then sold for 1/10 the price in Great Britain, in London or Paris, that Americans were being charged for them here. He saw that this was unfair. Every Democratic president, every Republican president has said that this was the gold standard. This is what we needed to do. Nobody's been able to change it. And when we came in, I have to say I was pessimistic about doing MFN. Dr. Oz was pessimistic. Our staff, John Brook and Chris Klump and the other people we brought in were all pessimistic. The president saw something that we didn't see, which is we had leverage. And that came through Howard and the tariffs, and we had extraordinary leverage to craft these deals. So last week we had Pfizer in, which is one of the biggest American pharmaceutical companies. Today we have AstraZeneca in with Pascal Sorios, which is one of the biggest European pharmaceutical companies. And the president asked us to do three things. One, to get MFN prices. Two, to not bankrupt these companies. He understood that America has to be the center for innovation. The drug industry needs to innovate, that it's critical for its bottom line, it's critical for the health of the American people. And he asked us also to make sure that those companies would keep their promise to reshore this industry. For national security purposes, for our economy, it's critical. These companies are making these drugs in the United States. We were able to achieve all those things, and partially with the visionary help of Pascal, where is he? Of Pascal Zorias, who understood that innovation and the business doesn't work if everybody is not pulling the oars, if everybody doesn't have a skin in the game. The whole world was riding on our shoulders and riding on our dime. 70% of pharmaceutical revenues comes from this country. We only have 4.2% of the world's population, and we were paying for 80 or 90% of the innovation here, and the rest of the world was a free rider. And Pascal understood that that's not fair, and it's not a good, sustainable, long-term business model. And he came to the table. He was one of the first leaders to come to the table. I want to thank him for his vision, for operating with us in good faith. And this is an extraordinary deal. Not only that, but as the president just pointed out, he is also reshoring this industry here. He has 19 facilities already operating in this country. He has this other facility in Marlborough County that Dr. Oz went with Governor Youngkin and broke ground on yesterday. He has a second facility that is under construction in Kendall Square in Boston, another facility in Rockville, Maryland, and a fourth facility in Copper, Texas, right outside of Dallas-Fort Worth. And he's got plans for building many more in this country, thanks to the president's leadership, to the tariffs, and to the common sense the president has demonstrated in his own commitment to make drug prices lower for hardworking Americans. So I want to thank the president for your visionary leadership. I want to thank Dr. Oz for his part, and Marty McCary in negotiating this deal. Dr. Heidi Overton, Theo Merkel, Chris Klump, and John Brooks, who all played critical parts in the negotiation. And of course, Howard Lutnick, who was the key to these negotiations. Who do we bring up now? Dr. Oz.
Thanks, Secretary.
He'll take your place, Pascal.
Oh, Pascal, I get to introduce Pascal, which I'll do with great joy and honor. So the world is watching as President Trump tries to make peace in every place he can go. But at the same time, President Trump is putting peace into the hearts of Americans and bringing peace of mind to them, especially Americans who cannot afford their medications. And just to put a number on this, as he releases us from the bondage of paying 3 times more for the exact same product made in the same factory, in the same pill box, in the same instruction manual overseas, rather in this country than we pay overseas, it creates an opportunity for us because, Mr. President, you're turning the art of the deal into the art of the heel. And that is something that you're going to witness today. And it's the second, we have more coming, but this is a very important one because I want to set the stage here. And Ms. Secretary, you're too modest. Secretary Kennedy did have a vision to push hard on this. He understood we could give the right medications to the right people at the right time. And there is nothing more maha than giving folks life-saving medications in a timely fashion so you prevent illnesses and treat other ones that have already occurred. You save lives that way. That literally is what was on the line as we began negotiating these. So let's set the stage. Where are we right now? Why this order? Last week, in this very room, President Trump welcomed the CEO of Pfizer, and that company, a leading U.S. pharmaceutical company, pledged to provide exactly what the president promised. Massive discounts to allow us to have most favored nation drug pricing in this country so we don't allow our people to pay more than folks overseas. And this was unthinkable even 6 months ago, 7 months ago when we came into office. And Americans now have the ability to do that, but we needed to prove it was scalable. So we went to AstraZeneca. which is the leading pharmaceutical company, a leading company in the entire world, but a massive opportunity in this march to MFN, a march to most favored nation drug pricing. And to have this message land clearly, we needed to make sure that the president's demand for fair drug pricing was heard all around the globe. And I actually think the single most powerful tool we had was the president, because people take him seriously. And some of the things that they were hearing overseas were alarming them enough that they began to realize the jig was up. So let's talk about the deal specifically. What are John Brooks, if you could be my Vanna White, please. John back there is Theo, Vince, Heidi were parts of the team. There are other members of the team I'll speak of in a second. So these are the 5 deal points. This is what Trump RX, by the way, which just launched, TrumpRx.gov, which was a unanimous name, by the way, Mr. President. He was not involved in picking the name, but it was not a difficult one to land on. We thought it had a catchy element to it. All primary care medications sold by AstraZeneca are going to be available on Trump RX, which means no more gaming, no more middlemen. Starting early next year, when you go to the website, you'll be able to see a marketplace. We're not selling the drugs. We're just making information available to everyone so you go to the right place to buy the right medication. Second, drugs for lung diseases are discounted massively, and that's over here on this line. The president highlighted 650%. They're significant discounts, and these are medications. We just picked the ones for lung disease and one for metabolic syndrome, diabetes, but there are others that are included. We have most favored nation pricing for everyone who is on Medicaid in this country. That's why Governor Youngkin is able to do backflips with his nimble 6'6" physique. Because for governors, this is a massive problem. If Medicaid prices continue going up, it crowds out other social services, which he'll speak to. We also have MFN for all new prescription drugs. Mr. President, by the time this term is done, 95% of all drugs sold in America, branded drugs and generic, will be available at most favored nation drug pricing. Americans are going to benefit if the prices drop abroad. So Secretary Lutnick is going to make sure that if we get better prices for these companies from our partner countries overseas, the American people see those benefits, and there's going to be onshoring of manufacturing. And as has been mentioned, I stood with Governor Youngkin and Pascal Soriot as we broke ground yesterday in Charlottesville, Virginia, in a massive $4 billion facility. That's the hard hat, Mr. President. I know you like construction, so that was all I could bring back. But there was a lot of remarkable energy. And here's what that event really does. It sends a signal. It sends a signal for all countries around the world to stop freeloading off American innovation. It's done. It's not going to happen anymore with this president. And if you aren't picking up your end of the bargain, then you're going to be welcoming a lot of more companies to leave your shores and allow us to welcome them into our shores as they open up manufacturing facilities here. And for all the pharmaceutical companies out there, we're talking to all of you, pick up a shovel. This is a great place to build a facility, as AstraZeneca has shown us, and I think it has a wonderful opportunity in the future as well as this country continues to support the innovation Secretary Kennedy spoke about, because we're not compromising that at all. We're just getting fair prices for the American people. To the team, tough negotiations, Mr. President. You know how hard they can be. You can't get there without world-class negotiators, and we are blessed by individuals to work with the AstraZeneca team who are killers, head-to-head. And why? Because talented people out of the private sector are coming into government to serve this president in a generational opportunity that they feel in their heart will make a difference. John Brooks is part of that team. Chris Klump, Inma Hernandez, numerous other folks contributed as well. But we're open for business. And if you want a great position and a patriot, like the folks who negotiated these deals, please consider coming with us, because the president has made it clear that you will make a difference in government. Finally, I want to thank Pascal Soriot. Pascal is an interesting, almost enigmatic individual. He's a CEO of AstraZeneca. He is born in France, Australian citizen, knighted in Great Britain, running their largest pharmaceutical company. So you figure out the lineage. But one thing I know is a very, very smart man who came here early on, took the president seriously, and he recognized the inherent unfairness of the European model of global freeloading off our innovation. He appreciated the challenge, and he wanted to be part of the solution. So Pascal, take it away.
Thank you so much. So, President Trump, it is really a pleasure to see you again, since I had a chance to meet you last time you visited the UK for your state visit. I know the King actually kept you late during the night, during your visit, late up at night. And I must thank you, actually, for returning the favor. I can tell you, you've kept me up at night and my team as well. But it has been really worth it. It's been worth it because today I'm really excited to announce AstraZeneca's commitment to your vision for a healthy America. Great leadership is about having an ambitious vision that can energize people, and you appoint a very talented team that can deliver on this. Your vision is exactly that. It is about lowering the price of medicines for American patients while ensuring that America remains a global powerhouse of innovation in biopharmaceuticals. And that's not easy to do. We need to keep inventing the technologies and the products that will cure disease. But you actually gave us a key, equalization. That's an important word. Yeah. You've assembled a remarkable team, actually, that together with us found a way to deliver on your vision. I would like to thank you, Mr. President, for your collaborative and your trusting approach throughout the discussion that led to this agreement. In addition, I would like to thank Secretary Lutnick, I'd like to thank Secretary Kennedy, Dr. Oz, and the CMS team, in particular John Brooks, who is here today, but also Chris Klump, for their very straightforward approach and their collaborative work that, together with my great team at AstraZeneca, enabled us to deliver this agreement today. It is an agreement that allows a number of wins. First of all, a great win for American patients. This agreement will deliver improved access to our medicines at a lower cost. We've addressed the 4 points that you raised in your letter, ensuring Americans do not pay more than patients in other wealthy countries. So it's a big win for patients and the healthcare system as a whole. But it's also a big win for the economy and for taxpayers, because it supports rebalancing the cost of innovation across wealthy nations. For too long, America has shouldered a disproportionate portion of the world's R&D cost for breakthrough medicines development. That imbalance is not sustainable. It had to change. And equalization levels the playing field, with wealthy nations contributing their fair share to the cost and the risk associated with biopharmaceuticals R&D. And I would say it's also a big win for state budgets because these Medicaid price reductions will have an immediate impact on Medicaid budgets and provide substantial relief to state budgets. Finally, your vision also secures America's strong position in life sciences and the onshoring of critical innovations and manufacturing. As a company, we will invest $50 billion in manufacturing and in R&D. We already have a large presence in the United States. We have 19 sites, and we employ 25,000 people around the country. They're all developing the new generation of medicines. But we'll continue to increase our presence in this country. We're expanding our manufacturing footprint in Texas. We're building our second large R&D center in Kendall Square in Boston. We are building a cell therapy manufacturing plant in Rockville, Maryland, and there's more to come. So a lot of investment over the next few years. I want to say that I appreciate very much Secretary Lutnick granting us a 3-year tariff exemption to localize the remainder of our products. Most of our products are locally manufactured, but we need to transfer the remaining part to this country. And also for your great support to convince also other wealthy countries to share the cost of pharmaceutical innovation. It is an important part of this agreement, rebalancing and the cost around the country, around the world. Yesterday showcased our commitment to the United States with this $4.5 billion investment in the beautiful Commonwealth of Virginia to manufacture what we call API, active ingredients for our medicines, but also antibody-drug conjugates that are such a critical part of the future treatment of cancer care, what is called smart chemotherapy, targeted chemotherapy. I want to thank Dr. Oz for joining us for the groundbreaking ceremony near Charlottesville, together with Governor Youngkin. And I actually love your AstraZeneca hat. I know you wanted to bring a shovel, but didn't make it to this beautiful room. I have to say it has been a great pleasure to work with Governor Youngkin and his team, in particular Secretary Segura, on this investment. Like you, President Trump, they are deal makers that move at the speed of business. And it's very important for us company to be able to work with people who understand who we are and move very fast. Our new facility will be a great example of Virginia supporting domestic production of medicines for America enhancing national security in pharmaceutical supply, but also create thousands of highly skilled jobs. Governor Youngkin gave me a beautiful Virginia flag that we will proudly fly alongside the American flag in front of our new facility. So AstraZeneca's commitment to the United States is very strong, and this agreement ensures we'll make an even bigger difference for American patients. So, Mr. President, thank you again for welcoming me in this beautiful office and for making this moment possible. Thank you so much.
Pascal. Thank you very much.
Over to you, Glenn.
Well, first of all, I just want to thank everyone for celebrating this landmark moment. This landmark moment is not just a moment to announce a new way to buy less expensive life-saving medicine, but it is a step function change in the way that Virginians and Americans can access medicines. And it is a step function change because historically there was an opaque pricing mechanism that had so many people standing between the manufacturers and the patients that no one knew really what it cost. Well, now we can go direct to consumers. And that's what Trump RX is all about, going direct to consumers, where a consumer can come and find that particular medication that they need and go direct to the company and get the best possible price. Second of all, the most favored nation clause is a groundbreaking moment. It's a groundbreaking moment because, as you've heard, that American customers have been paying 3, 4, 5 times what international customers have been paying. That is just not fair. And Mr. President, I want to thank you for simply recognizing that America must come first. And Americans deserve the best pricing, not the worst. It changes everything for a state. In Virginia, we have $1.5 billion a year of pharmaceutical expenditure under our Medicaid plan. $1.5 billion a year. We save 10%, 20%, 30%. All of a sudden, 150, 300 million, 450 million in savings can be realized by a state. Now, I firmly believe that's the people's money, and it should go back in tax relief. But think about the change that that enables for a state as they manage their health care expenditures. Finally, Mr. President, you have driven a reshoring of critical supply chains that no one thought could happen. The industries that everyone thought were lost are now coming home, and with pharmaceutical manufacturing and active pharmaceutical ingredients particularly coming back to America, it changes everything. It's an economic moment for us. Yes, $4.5 billion into the Virginia economy, and that will in fact translate into $3 or $4 of extra economic impact for every dollar that is spent, 3,600 great paying jobs. But it's even more than that. This is a national security moment. And what you've just heard is one of the leading pharmaceutical companies in the world is choosing America, and yes, Virginia, to invest nearly $5 billion to build the most critical manufacturing for the future of America's health. That's not just a single example. It's happening all over. And in fact, in Virginia, Mr. President, we've been blessed with nearly $10 billion of commitments to build new pharmaceutical manufacturing in the great Commonwealth of Virginia. And therefore, I believe this is a moment to celebrate investment, but more importantly, to celebrate breakthroughs for American citizens to get access to life-saving medicines at costs that they deserve because they're all made here. Mr. President, you and your cabinet have been amazing. As a governor, I have found that the cooperation with every one of your cabinet members, and sir, yes, you, has been beyond compare that I could ever imagine. I want to thank you for helping us make Virginia great again, too. Thank you.
So we have, at this moment, I think we just cracked $18 trillion in commitments and investments in our country. As an example, the last administration was far less than $1 trillion for 4 years. We're at plus $18 trillion for 8 months. There's never been anything like it in history, in any country, anywhere in the world. So that's great. But maybe for purposes of this, more importantly, we're going to bring drug prices down at numbers that nobody ever thought possible, Glenn. I think nobody ever even thought it was possible. So we're going to be doing a lot of business, but we're going to be also numbers that when you're 2, 3, 4, 500% less. I just noticed one of them over here, 654% discount. 654. The laggard is 98%, right? 9 is that what? Wow, 96, 230%, but 654, and we have some that top that by a lot. So it's really going to be incredible, and that's going to be so good for Medicaid and Medicare and everything. Frankly, for your life, it's going to be so good. So nobody ever thought they were going to see. And don't let Democrats take the credit, because they'll try. They'll say, "Oh, we worked so hard," and they didn't work hard. They did. They obstructed. They actually did the opposite. So that's really more important than even the tremendous investments being made in our country. But think of it: we cracked $18 trillion with a T, $trillion, and frankly, $1 trillion for 4 years wasn't that bad. He did less than $1 trillion, but we did that in a period of 8 months. So it's pretty record-shattering by many trillions of dollars. Any country, no matter what country you're talking about, nobody's done numbers like that. So thank you all for being here. Do you want to have a couple of questions? Yeah, please.
Mr. President, one on this, if I could, and one on China, if I may. First on this, could you have brought these pharmaceutical companies to the table without that 100% tariff that you imposed?
Well, it's not 100%. You're talking about China might be 100%.
No, I'm talking about the 100% you imposed on pharmaceuticals for that sector.
I would never have been able to bring them. Now, I'm not sure that Pascal would like to say, but behind the scenes he did say tariffs were a big reason he came here, and also the fact he loved Virginia. He liked this guy. He liked me. I think the November 5th election was a very important date. We had a good election, and that was important. But yeah, he's here. A lot of. I can speak for almost everybody that's here. Most of them are here because of tariffs, because you have to understand he has no tariffs. If you build in this country, there are no tariffs. So.
I want to ask you about China, if I could. Just want to confirm: have you canceled your meeting with President Xi? And
no, I haven't canceled, but I don't know that we're going to have it. But I'm going to be there regardless, so I would assume we might have it. But they hit the world with something that really is not anything that people are going to do, and it was shocking. I can tell you, Howard and I and Todd, we all Scott, we were all speaking about it before, and we said, where did that come from? It was just. That was out of the blue, right? Out of the blue, they came up with this whole import-export concept, and nobody knew anything about it. So.
If they roll back their export controls, the new announcement, would you roll back?
Look, we're going to have to see what happens. That's why I made it November 1st. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
Mr. President,
Go ahead, please.
What else besides software could be on the table in terms of export controls?
A lot more. I mean, you have software, but you have a lot more. We have airplanes. We have airplane parts. You remember that from last time. And we were just surprised that China have a very good relationship with President Xi, and they did that. This is not something that I, instigated. This was just a response to something that they did. And they didn't really aim it at us. They aimed it at the whole world. The whole world is subject to it. So I thought it was very, very bad. But we have many things, including a big thing is airplane. They have a lot of Boeing planes, and they need parts and lots of things like that. Steve?
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to accept the Gaza deal, and what will be your message to the Knesset when you speak to them?
Well, he wanted it. It's been a long time. He's been fighting a long time. He's been fighting hard. He wanted it. It's a great deal for Israel, but it's a great deal for everybody, for Arabs, for Muslims, for everybody, for the world. And as you know, on Monday the hostages come back. They're getting them now. I mean, they're getting them now. They're in some pretty rough places under earth. They're in some pretty rough places where only a few people know where they are in some cases. So they're getting them, and they're also getting the bodies, approximately 28 bodies. And some of those bodies are being unearthed right now as we speak. I mean, they're working on it right now as we speak. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. No, he was Very happy with it. And I can tell you that I saw Israel dancing in the streets, but they were dancing in Qatar and Saudi Arabia and UAE and many, many countries. I saw Egypt. They were dancing. I'll be going to Israel. I'll be speaking at the Knesset, I think, early on. And then I'm also going to Egypt. They were terrific. But all of the countries were great. Indonesia was great. Jordan was great. They were all great. Everybody wants this deal to happen.
What happens in Gaza the day after the hostage release?
Day after what?
The day after the hostage release, what happens there then?
Well, hopefully you're going to have great success I call it everlasting success. I think you will, too. I think you're going to have tremendous success, and Gaza is going to be rebuilt. And you have some very wealthy countries, as you know, over there. And it would take a small fraction of their wealth to do that. But and I think they want to do it. And we're also setting up, as you know, a board of peace. It's called the Board of Peace. I don't know if that's the final name, but the word peace is definitely in there. And they have asked me if I chair it. We'll make sure things go well.
And how confident are you that the ceasefire will hold?
I think it'll hold, yeah. I think it'll hold. They're all tired of the fighting. Don't forget, you had October 7th, which was a horrible day, 1,200 people killed. But Hamas has lost 58,000 people. That's big retribution. That's big retribution. People understand that. So, no, I think they're all tired of fighting. And this really gives the whole Middle East. This is beyond Gaza. Gaza is very important, but this is beyond Gaza. This is peace in the Middle East, and it is a beautiful thing. You know, it's a term that you and I have been hearing since we were very young, right? And now we have a chance of really having that. And as you know, most of the countries have passed all these resolutions. Every country is there. Iran came in. I was very happy to see that. I was very honored that Iran came in. They said they support it. Russia came in. President Putin, he supports it fully, very fully. So I was happy to see even countries that weren't necessarily involved in the process, they all support it. I don't know of anybody that does it. And I've never seen happier people than many of these places, not just Israel. Many of these places, they're all dancing in the streets. I've never seen anything like it.
President,
go ahead, please, in the back.
Thank you. What guarantees did you give Hamas to persuade them that Israel will restart the bombing campaign once the hostages have been exchanged?
What did I do with respect to them? Well, you know, I spoke a little bit tough, and that's what would happen. I mean, you have to speak tough. That's a tough world. That's a tough, as they say, neighborhood. And they're tough people. They're very tough people, and they're smart people. They're good negotiators. They have a lot of things going. They put that to good use. They're going to be very, very successful. But they knew the retribution would be tremendous, unsustainable. It would have been unsustainable. It would have been complete obliteration, and they didn't want that. And nobody wants it at this point. They want to get on with rebuilding the entire Middle East. It's not only Gaza. It's going to be the entire Middle East. They're going to be able to live in peace. Now we have some little hot spots, but they're very small. You know the ones I'm talking about. They're very small. They'll be very easy to put out. Those fires are going to be put out very quickly. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. President. Talking about the Middle East still, going to the phases that come after this first phase, is there consensus on the additional points in your plan, or are the details still being fine-tuned?
I think there is consensus on most of it, and some of the details, like anything else, will be worked out, because you'll find out that when you're sitting in a beautiful room in Egypt, it's easy to work something out, but then sometimes it doesn't work from a practical standpoint. So certain little things, but for the most part, there's consensus, yes.
Do you intend to hash that out when you're in Egypt?
I might, yeah. I mean, I'll be there because I'll be going to, I'll go to Cairo. I think that's where we're going, as opposed to the place of the signing. And we have a lot of leaders from all over the world coming too. They've been invited. And then I'm coming back, I believe it's Tuesday night, for Charlie Kirk, a friend of mine, a friend of all of ours, a friend of a lot of the people right here. And we're giving him the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is the highest honor you get outside of the Congressional Medal of Honor. One's military, one's civilian, but it's the greatest honor. And Erica's beautiful wife is going to be here, and a lot of people are going to be here. So, it's not easy for me to get back. it's a very quick trip, but I'll be making 2 major stops, and then I'll be on the plane trying to get back in time for Charlie. They're going to have a great celebration at the White House in the East Room of the White House.
Mr. President. Russell Vogt said the reductions in force have begun related to this shutdown. How many layoffs have you authorized for this first round, and from which agencies?
And it'll be Democrat-oriented because we figure, they started this thing, so they should be Democrat-oriented. It'll be a lot, and we'll announce the numbers over the next couple of days, but it'll be a lot of people, all because of the Democrats. I mean, they want to give $1.5 trillion to people that came into the country illegally. More important than that, because we all have a big heart. We want people to be taken care of, but we have 0 people coming in. You know that, Glenn, right? That's a pretty impressive number, even for a successful governor. But we've had for the last 4 months 0 people coming in illegally. They're coming in, but they're coming in legally. They're coming in through a process that's really a really good process right now, because we want people to come in, but they have to come in legally. So what we're doing is, as these different groups come due, we're going to make a determination. Do we want them or not? And I must tell you, a lot of them happen to be Democrat-oriented. These are people that the Democrats wanted that in many cases were not appropriate. We fought them at the time, and it was ultimately signed in. And some of these people, these are largely people that the Democrats want. Many of them will be fired. Yes, please, behind.
The Nobel Peace Prize was announced this morning. Your thoughts?
Which one?
The Nobel Peace Prize. Your thoughts?
Look, including a very big one, and I'm not sure, when you say big, it's certainly, I think, to the mind of most, the most important deal ever made in terms of peace. But the one we just signed, it's been signed, sealed, and it's going to start taking place now. It's already started. Monday's going to be a very big day when the hostages come back. But I made 8 deals, transactions of wars. One was 31 years going on. 10 million people were killed. One was 34 years. One was 36, 37. One was 10. One was just starting. 2 were just starting, actually, but they were well on their way. In the case of India and Pakistan, 7 planes were shot down. It was a bad one. And I did it largely through trade. I mean, that one, numerous of them. I talked tariffs. I said, look, if you're going to do that, we're going to put very big tariffs on your country. And they were both great. They stopped fighting, and they were 2 nuclear powers. So, they're all big. They're every one of them big. You take a look at the Congo. You take a look at the Congo and Rwanda. 10 million people killed over a long period of time. Got that one solved. We did a total of 8 as of this. 2 days ago, I would have said 7, which I did say, but the other one was signed up, sealed. As you know, Israel signed it just now. They signed it and they approved it today, their parliament. And it's a great honor to be involved with so many. So the person who actually got the Nobel Prize called me and said, I'm accepting this in honor of you because you really deserved it. A very nice thing to do. I didn't say then give it to me, though. I think she might have. She was very nice. And I've been helping her along the way. They need a lot of help in Venezuela. It's a basic disaster. So, and you could also say it was given out for 24, and I was running for office in 24. All of the transactions that we did in terms of closing, but there are those that say we did so much that they should have done it, but I'm happy because I saved millions of lives, many millions of lives. And speaking of somebody that saves lives, don't ever play golf with it, because Keegan Bradley just walked in, one of the greatest golfers in the world, the captain of the Ryder Cup. And man, I'll tell you did a good job. You almost came back. I turned on. I said, I sort of turned off. It wasn't looking good. And then a little while later, I turned on. I said, you guys might make, that would have been the miracle. What a great job. He's respected by those golfers like nobody. And I just want to compliment you, Keegan. That was an incredible job. Right here, we have a lot of unfriendly fake news media. And he's not used to that. He's used to getting only good publicity, I think, Howard. These are all golfers. But you're some golfer, I'll tell you that, and some leader. Thank you very much. Great job. Thank you, King.
Mr. President, on China.
Yeah, please.
On immigration, ICE are making arrests, target arrests at courthouses in New York City and around the country. To
Criminals, they're arresting criminals. That's right. Yeah, go ahead. I'm happy about it. I want them to arrest criminals. And if you take a look at D.C., a year ago, D.C. was our great capital was a very unsafe place. You know that. Some of you were mugged and talk openly about it. Some of the media was mugged. But right now, D.C. is one of the safest places in the whole country. The restaurants are booming. They're opening up new restaurants. The restaurants were all closing. Now you can't get into a restaurant. They're opening up new restaurants. It took 12 days for us. We sent in not politically correct military. We sent them in based on merit. You know, we won the case in the Supreme Court. Everything now is based on merit. Our country was founded on things based on merit. Like Keegan Bradley's not going to be playing golf if he wasn't a great player. If he shoots lower scores, boy, there's no more merit system than that one, Keegan, right? If you miss a putt, they don't say, oh, that's okay, let's take it again, do they? No, it's based on merit. Everything's based on merit. And we're back to the merit system. And when they saw that military is all about merit. They're big, strong people that they're patriots too. And you take a look at D.C., and now we're in Memphis, and Memphis was really crime-ridden. It was terrible. A lot of people being killed. And they say in 12 days they can't even believe how much better it is. And it'll take probably a month over there, and we're heading to Chicago because we want to save Chicago. Do you know they had over 4,000 people killed in Chicago over a short 4,000 people, and I have to watch this slob of a governor stand up and say that, well, everything's okay, we've got it under control. They had 4,000 people murdered over a very short period of time. There's not a city in the world, I don't believe, that can claim, you hear so much about different, I won't, embarrass anybody, like by saying Mexico City or by saying anywhere in Afghanistan. There's no place like that. And then I have to listen to the mayor who's got a 5% approval rate, maybe less. He's an incompetent man. And the governor's an incompetent guy. He's a guy that was thrown out of his family business like a dog. And I know his family very well. And now he's a governor. And when I watch him trying to say that it's okay, we have crime under control, I lost 4,000 people over a very short period of time. I believe it's like 7,000 people were shot but didn't die. But 4,000 people died. And then he gets up and talks about how it's not a problem. Or Portland, Oregon. I mean, every time I look at that place, the place is burning down. There's fires all over the place. When a store owner, there are very few of them left, but when a store owner rebuilds a store, they build it out of plywood, and they don't put up storefronts anymore. They just put wood up because they know it's going to be ripped down. And then I hear how wonderful it is. It's not wonderful. It's a disaster. That's almost an insurrection, that place. So we put our people in there, and they do the job, and they've really done the job. And the beautiful thing is we've done it. 12 days we had this place safe, and now it's, I would say within a month, it was beautiful. And it continues to be. That was 3 months ago. I'll tell you, D.C. now is one of the hottest places, just like this country. We were a dead country, and you've heard me say it 100 times. We were a dead country. King of Saudi Arabia said it. Others say. The Emir of Qatar said it. Many. UAE said it. The leader, great leader, UAE, all great leaders. They said effectively the same thing. 1 year ago, we had a dead country. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. I just want to thank everybody, and I want to, in particular, thank AstraZeneca. What a great company you have. What a company you've built. You've been there a long time and done some job. It's an honor to have you. I assume you're going to build, so it's $4.5 billion for a plant. That's a pretty big plant, isn't it? I was going to say, could he make it a little bit more? Well, we have a couple of them where they're going to spend $65 billion on one plant, AI. All I know is it's, AI is based on information. I hope they're right about information. I don't know. You got to make a lot of money there's got to be a lot of information out there, but that seems to be pretty hot. But we have a lot. We're leading the world on information on AI, as you know, by a lot. It's not even close. So we're doing a job. And I want to thank everybody, but in particular, Pascal, thank you very much. It's a great honor. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Have a good time.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Let's go. Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thank you. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Let's go. Let's go. Thank you, guys. Thank you, press. Right out this way. Thank you, press. Thank you. Let's go. Let's go. Thanks, guys. TV, grab everything. Thank you, press. TV, grab everything. Thanks, guys.
All right, you saw it there. President Trump making an announcement about lower drug prices and the launching of Trump RX, which will be live in January 2026. The president also confirmed he will be speaking in Israel on Monday. Then on Tuesday, he will return to Washington to award the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Charlie Kirk posthumously, which also Tuesday is Charlie Kirk National Remembrance Day, the day the late, great Charlie Kirk was born. This RSBN live stream brought to you by a number of great sponsors. All Family Pharmacy is one of them. Most pharmacies stop at the basics. They hand you your prescription. They send you on your way. But thankfully, there's one pharmacy that's different, All Family Pharmacy. Of course, they carry the essentials, antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, and everyday prescriptions, but they don't stop there. They go further by offering advanced health solutions that you won't find at most places. Things like NAD Plus for energy and healthy aging, to methylene blue for sharper focus, glutathione for detox and immune support, and Samoralin to support better sleep and recovery. They're giving Americans access to both essential medications and innovative biohacking products to help you feel and perform your best. So this is about more than just medicine. It's about taking control of your health, whether you're preparing for emergencies, managing day-to-day needs, or optimizing long-term performance. So that's why so many people are choosing All Family Pharmacy, because they have everything you need all in one place, including the doctor's prescription. So you see the website right there, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Go there, get that RSBN 10 promo code, and you'll save 10%. Our last sponsor of the day, let's talk about Monetary Gold. Two banks have already, unfortunately, failed in 2025, and with $37 trillion in national debt, Monetary Gold says more failures, unfortunately, are on the way. It's not fear-mongering, it's unfortunately reality. The banking system is built on quicksand, and every new failure threatens depositors, retirement accounts, and pensions. The government can't bail out everyone, so when confidence collapses, unfortunately, so does the system. Monetary Gold tells us not to get trapped holding worthless paper, so just give them a call, 888-617-7994. You see that number there on your screen. You can also go to rsbnforthegold.com today and secure your wealth with real assets. All right, we have some coverage tomorrow. It is going to be a Saturday, but we'll be here live at 5:30 as the Secretary of the Department of War, Pete Hegseth, will be celebrating the anniversary of the 250th year for the United States Marines. Technically, it's November 10th, but tomorrow there's a big event. And there's been a huge event every so often for the Marines and others as we get ready to celebrate our country's founding 250 years ago. That'll be, of course, July 4th of 2026. We'll see you tomorrow night. Hope you have a great weekend. And also, for all of us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll see you soon.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Every once in a while, something big happens, something that changes everything. And now, in a defining moment for crypto, Trump Media Group and Crypto.com are joining forces to acquire up to $6.4 billion of CRO, launching America's first ever CRO treasury, empowering the Kronos blockchain. This is more than a partnership. It's the future of finance built in America. For more, visit Crypto.com, where millions trade CRO every day.
Tired of being told no by your doctor, your pharmacy, or worse, your insurance company? You're not alone. Millions of Americans are waking up to a broken healthcare system. That's why more and more people are turning to All Family Pharmacy. We believe in medical freedom. We deliver the prescription and the medication, all from licensed U.S. doctors and pharmacists, from ivermectin and trusted antibiotics to maintenance medications, even NAD+, the revolutionary anti-aging supplement. Use code RSBN10 at checkout for 10% off your first order.